welcome back to my channel. Happy Christmas Eve. It's Christmas. I'm filming on Christmas Eve. I'm going to try and spread my videos out this week. So I'm going to do the usual 2 videos, but the next video won't be. I'll be filming later on this week, so it'll probably be not until Boxing Day, or even a bit later possibly, just because everything's a bit out of kilter at the moment. So I'm just going to try and film one today, and then another later on this week. We'll see how we get on anyway. I might film 2 today. You'll know what one I've chosen at the end of this video. So you might get 2, you might get 3, you might get extras this week, or you might not. It all depends. I can't say much more for now at the moment. This is a completely impromptu video, so I'm just filming, off the cuff as it were. I haven't taken notes or anything. I'm glad it's almost over. I actually like Christmas Day. I don't mind Christmas Day. Christmas Day I'm okay with because everywhere's so quiet, and I'm like, I wish we could have Christmas Day every Sunday, and it would be like Christmas Day every Sunday, because I don't mind Christmas Day. It's just I don't like a run up to Christmas because everywhere's so manic and stressful, and it's just a case of minimising stress reduction as much as possible and getting out of the shops as quickly as possible. But I'll talk to you more about how I've spent Christmas in my next video, because which I want to focus on in my next video, because in this video I want to touch upon something that is quite controversial. Which it's controversial, but it's something that I have a lot to say about, because I kind of feel like I occupy a minority position in this debate, and I'm talking about the Neurodiversity Movement. Now, the Neurodiversity Movement, on the face of it, is very progressive and positive on the sort of face of it. And certainly when I first found out about the Neurodiversity Movement, I think certainly after I just got diagnosed, or shortly after I got diagnosed, and after I got diagnosed in my early 20s, and I found out about the Neurodiversity Movement, it seemed to me a sort of very kind of like positive development, because essentially the Neurodiversity Movement is based on the premise that autism is just a sort of natural variation in terms of like brain development, and that it like sort of I guess biodiversity, there are many different brains and many different ways of existing in the world, sort of thing. That's its kind of like premise, and that's no one can really argue against that. That's all no one can argue against it, and it's based on obviously the fact that all brains are different. That's a fact, again, that no one can deny. But as I started to kind of like read more about it, and also kind of like sort of work things out for myself and the way I see my own autism and everything, which is a process, it takes time. Particularly when you're diagnosed late, you have to kind of figure these things out for yourself, and it's quite a sort of philosophical kind of thing. You have to really think about it. And as I read more about neurodiversity, and I kind of like explored the concept more and like how it relates to me and everything, I found like there are parts of it that just do not sit comfortably with me at all. As I say, the basic premise that all brains are different and it should be accepted is great. I 100% accept that. That's a fact we cannot ignore, But when you move away from objective facts, all brains are different, that's an objective fact, and you move into the territory of sort of subjective truths, I guess, which is like the way each person experiences autism, and everyone experiences autism differently, because it's not one thing, and while for some it might be something that maybe they can 100% embrace and maybe see as something maybe positive in their life, for others, it's something that they completely and utterly could do without, and really, if a cure existed, they would be like 100% for it, and others are somewhere in the middle. I myself, I'm somewhere in the middle. I certainly wish I didn't have autism, because it's, let's face it, autism is a disability for me. Others might not see it as a disability for themselves, but that's their own. I'm not going to argue against that, because that's their own position and like what counts for them. What I do take issue with is when certain people in the neurodiversity movement, not all by any means, but there is a very vocal contingent within the neurodiversity movement that effectively silences and gaslights anyone who says that they don't like being autistic, or anyone who says that they want a cure. Like I said, I'm somewhere in the middle. If a cure was available, and obviously this is pure hypotheticals because a cure currently doesn't exist, but if a cure did exist, I can't tell you exactly what I would do, because I don't live within a world where a cure exists. But all I can say is that in an ideal world, I personally would rather not be autistic, because being autistic is not ideal. Certainly, the way autism affects me, it has really has, in a sense, taken certain opportunities away from me. So if I went to university, no one expected I would go to university. I won't talk about that here, but obviously that was, because I wasn't considered to be academic at school. I had learning difficulties with certain aspects of learning, and I needed a lot of support. I only got a small amount of the support that they said I should get. That's another story, and I was greatly let down by the school system. But mainly thanks to my mum's hard work, actually. She really helped me. In fact, I had educated parents. I did manage to get to university against the odds, because no one expected I would get to university, and I stayed at home while I was at university. And by that point, once I'd achieved my A-levels and gone to university, I started to discover that actually I could achieve academically, so long as like the rest of my life was kind of organised by other people, essentially. I couldn't organise my life and focus on my work at the same time, but I was lucky because my parents were doing all the organising and background and stuff for me. I wouldn't have coped in halls. But, I did realise that I did have some intelligence, and I did realise, yes, quite late. I guess also I'm a late developer. And, I managed to get a 2-1 history degree. And now, which I guess just shows, when I put my mind to something, I can do well. But of course, I'm a very focused person. I need to do complete 100% monofocus, I think is the word for it. And and I can't kind of spread my attention broadly. I can't do that whole kind of, I do this now and then I'll do that. Like chopping and changing, like non-autistics just seem to do so well. I just can't really do that. So as I say, I was lucky that my parents were doing all the work for me. But I was doing the work. What I mean is my parents were doing the organisational work, for me, so I could just 100% focus on the university work. Like my mum was organising everything, like all my folders, all my files, everything, which really obviously helped. And I think if I'd gone to halls, I don't think I would have got that. I wouldn't have actually coped in halls anyway. I couldn't, because I've got OCD and all those other issues as well. So it showed my potential, but obviously if I didn't have autism, if I didn't have all of these other problems, I could have taken that degree. And by now, I'm 32 years old now, but by now, based upon everything I aspired to, I've stopped aspiring to these things now because they're just unrealistic. But back then, I still had this idea that somehow maybe I could get them, because I just thought all my problems would magically disappear once I got my degree, and it will be fine. I could go on and essentially, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps and be a teacher. And I even at one point considered doing a PCGE. And then I realised it's like reality smacks you in your face. You're like, okay, so you've got OCD, you've got all these problems with organisation, all of this kind of stuff. And I couldn't do it, and because my OCD was even worse back then than it is now, though it's still put back. But and that's all connected to my autism, but it's kind of all interlinked for me. So that really stopped me doing essentially what I would have aspired to do, and what, given my intelligence and potential, if I wasn't autistic, I would have been able to do. So how is autism then a benefit to me, when it's essentially, with this condition I've got, it's basically stopped me fulfilling some of my aspirations. So no, I don't see autism as a positive thing for me. Do I accept being autistic? Well, that's an up and down answer, because obviously, I go up and down in terms of how I see that. I guess obviously you sort of have to learn to accept autism, because you don't really have a choice. This is how I am, this is how I am, I can't change that, so I have to accept it. And yeah, I sort of have accepted it, I don't know what it's like not to be autistic anyway. I'm generally a relatively upbeat person, I guess a kind of stoic realist, I guess maybe you could call me. I just get on with life, I've always done that. I don't kind of like get all, I do admittedly sulk about being autistic a lot, and I often think, if only I wasn't autistic, but I still enjoy life generally. I still get on and do my interests and all of that. But I'm certainly not proud to be autistic, and I certainly don't, for me, see autism as a positive thing. I'm going to move on to video number 2 now, because I don't want this to, actually this will end up being 2 videos, but I have got a lot to say about this, and I'll probably come back and talk about this in many more videos, because I think the whole neurodiversity thing is a big thing, and I'd welcome your thoughts in it as well. I'm going to move on to video number 2 now.